the beginning of the story, we see a prison called the Shawshank Redemption. It is the most secure prison in the world. It houses thousands of inmates. But to date, no prisoner has escaped from this prison because its security is extremely strict. There are even prisoners who have spent their entire lives in this prison, but they never even thought of escaping because the punishment for attempting to escape is death. The scene cuts to a courtroom, and we see a man named Andy, a banker at a major American bank. The judge sentences him to life imprisonment for the murder of his wife and her lover. But Andy claims he did not commit these murders. But Andy lacks any evidence to prove his innocence. Consequently, the judge sends Andy to the Shawshank Redemption, the world's most secure prison, for life imprisonment. Andy is accompanied by several other prisoners. When these prisoners are brought into the prison, the others bet among themselves on which of the new arrivals will cry tonight. They each bet a pack of cigarettes. They each choose one prisoner from a line outside. Then, a prisoner named Red bets on Andy because he believes he is innocent and comes from a wealthy family that has never suffered. Therefore, he believes he will be the first to cry tonight. All the prisoners are then brought into the prison in a line, and each prisoner is locked in his cell. After some time, night falls, and the older prisoners begin shouting at the new arrivals, hoping to scare them into crying. And that's exactly what happens. One of the new arrivals bursts into tears and says, "I want to go home." Guards arrive and tell him not to cry. But when the man doesn't stop crying, the guards drag him out of the cell and beat him so hard that he faints. Meanwhile, Red loses his bet on Andy, and Red realizes that Andy is incredibly strong because, despite being so intimidated, he didn't make a sound. The next day, Red gives his partner a pack of cigarettes, having lost his bet on Andy. Then we see Andy alone, quietly eating breakfast. Then Andy meets Brooks, the prison's oldest inmate. Brooks is about to complete 50 years in this prison. Andy discreetly tries to learn from Brooks all the prison's rules, big and small, and about each inmate. Brooks then reveals every secret of the prison to Andy and tells him that if he needs to order something from outside, he should go to a prisoner named Red. Hearing this, Andy doesn't wait around and goes straight to Red, telling him, "I heard you can order anything from outside." Red says, "Yes, I can, but something that won't be useful for escaping or killing someone." Andy tells Red, "I need a hammer." Hearing the word, Red asks, "Why do you need a hammer? Aren't you going to kill someone with it?" Andy replies, "No, I'm not going to kill anyone. I don't have any enemies here." Hearing this, Red says, "You don't have any enemies here, but some people will soon become your enemies." He points to some people and warns Andy that they have evil intentions towards you, so stay away from them. The next day, at Andy's request, Red orders a hammer for him. When he sees the hammer, Red laughs because it's so small, and Red thinks to himself that it would take 600 years to tunnel through the prison with it. Red then has Brooks deliver the hammer to Andy's cell. Days pass like this. One day, while Andy is working in the laundry, 3 men with evil intentions grab him. Andy tries to free himself, but he's unable to control them alone. So, the 3 men first beat him up and then abuse him. This cycle continues. They always catch Andy, then beat him up and abuse him. 2 years pass, and an announcement comes that some people are needed to repair the roof. A team of prisoners, including Red and Andy, is ready to work on the roof. They all get to work, and the responsibility of looking after them on the roof falls on a very strict security guard named Hadley. Hadley is a very strict man who severely beats the prisoners for even the slightest mistake. While all the prisoners are working on the roof, Hadley becomes a little upset and tells his colleagues, "My brother recently died and I have $0 in his account. Now my brother has no one else in this world except me. Therefore, I have a right to his money. But the problem is that when I transfer this $0 to my account, the government will take all the money from me as tax." While Hadley is discussing this with his colleagues, Andy overhears everything. Andy, a big banker, knows how to withdraw this money without paying taxes to the government. Then, without thinking, Andy goes to Hadley and asks him, "Do you trust your wife?" Hearing this, Hadley becomes enraged and grabs Andy and drags him to the edge of the roof. But before throwing him down, Andy tells him, "If you trust your wife and don't betray you, you can easily transfer your brother's money to your wife's account, and without paying any taxes, because the government has a rule that allows a man to gift up to $0 to his wife in his lifetime. And this money is tax-free. Andy also says, if you hire an outside lawyer, they'll charge a lot. But I can do this for you for free. Hadley then asks, what do you want in return? Andy smiles and says, I don't want anything. When you're done, just serve beer to all my friends. And the next day, all the inmates are sitting on the roof enjoying beer. It means Andy did Hadley's job, but Andy doesn't drink beer. He sits in a corner, watching everyone drink beer, and is delighted. Andy's friends are also very happy because drinking beer in prison was almost impossible. But thanks to Andy, their wish was fulfilled. Time passes, and Andy and Red's friendship deepens. A few days later, a movie is shown to all the inmates in prison, and everyone is watching a Rita Hayworth film. Then Andy comes to Red and says, I want a big poster of Rita Hayworth. Andy asks Red for the poster because Red was the only one in the entire prison who could order anything from outside. Then Andy comes out. But as soon as he comes out, the same three men who used to abuse Andy are standing there. They tell Andy to come with them, but this time Andy refuses. When Andy refuses, they grab him and try to force themselves on him. But Andy fights them back. But there are only three of them. Because of this, they beat Andy very severely. But today they are unable to do anything to Andy. But they beat Andy so much that Andy ends up in the hospital for a month, and the man who hit him is also thrown into solitary confinement for a week. A week later, when he returns to his cell, the same officer from whom Andy saved $0 in taxes is there. Someone had told this officer that this man had beaten Andy so badly that the poor man was hospitalized for a month. Now, the officer beats the man so badly that he becomes permanently paralyzed. A month later, when Andy returns to his cell from the hospital, he finds a large poster of Rita Hayworth in his cell, which is actually a welcome gift from Red. Days pass like this, until one day the prison warden arrives at Andy's cell with security guards and orders a search. After checking the cell, when the warden finds nothing, he notices a poster in front of him. The warden says, I don't allow posters in cells, but you can put this one up in yours. The search was just a pretext. The warden had told the warden how Andy had saved him $0 in taxes. That's why the warden wanted to meet Andy for his own benefit. Andy has a Bible in his hand, which he takes and leaves. But after a short distance, he returns the Bible to Andy, saying, liberation lies in this. The next day, the warden calls Andy into his office and says, an intelligent man like you shouldn't be behind bars. Therefore, he appoints Andy as the library assistant. The library is staffed by an old man named Books, who has been in charge for many years. Just then, the officer for whom Andy had saved $0 brings another officer to Andy. He actually had an ITR issue, which Andy fills in within minutes. This makes Andy the talk of the prison. As the years pass, Andy's workload increases. Consequently, Andy needs an assistant, and he enlists his best friend, Red. One day, in the library, Brooks holds a knife to a prisoner's throat and threatens to kill him for no reason. The government has actually commuted his sentence, but he refuses to leave. He has been in prison for 50 years. He has spent his entire life in this prison, and he has completely forgotten what the outside world is like. This prison is his real world, and he feels that if he murders someone, his sentence will be increased and he will be kept in prison. Under Andy's persuasion, Brooks releases the man he held the knife to. Now, when Brooks is released from prison, he finds the outside world very strange. In 50 years, the pace of the world has increased significantly. Where there used to be only one car on the road, now the roads are crowded with vehicles. After a few days, he starts working in a supermarket, but he doesn't feel at all comfortable in the outside world. He constantly remembers prison and longs to return. That's why he sometimes considers committing a crime so that he can go back to it. But Brooks, at his age, did not want to commit any crime. Unable to survive in this crowded, fast-paced life, he takes his own life. Before dying, he writes a letter to his fellow prisoners, which everyone reads with great emotion. We then see the prison where the warden starts a new program. In this program, inmates are taken outside the prison to work so they can learn how to earn money through hard work. The inmates agree to this work because they also want to experience the outdoors. In this way, the warden employs these inmates. But through this project, the warden secures numerous contracts because the inmates' labor is very cheap. The local construction labor force is unable to find work anywhere else. The warden gets their work done by his own inmates at half the price. This is because the inmates are not laborers he can afford to pay. Therefore, the warden earns a lot of money by making the inmates work for free, and this money is his black money. However, being a banker, Andy converts all the warden's black money into white money. Andy actually deposits this money in the name of a man who doesn't exist and transfers it to his account, so that if the police find out, they'll be looking for someone who never existed. A new inmate arrives at the prison named Tommy. Tommy is very young and has been to many prisons at such a young age. He possesses a very friendly nature, and he quickly befriends many of the inmates. One day, at the dinner table, Tommy tells everyone, "I've been stealing for years. That's why I've been to many prisons here, and this time, I'm in this prison because of stealing." Listening to Tommy, Andy tells him, "If you keep getting caught stealing, it means it doesn't suit you, so you should stop stealing." Tommy finds Andy's advice absolutely correct, so Tommy begins to inquire about Andy from Red. Tommy tells Red that Andy is a very intelligent and decent man. Why is he imprisoned? Red tells him that Andy was a prominent banker, but he murdered his wife and her lover, which is why he was imprisoned for life. Hearing this, Tommy becomes thoughtful, as if remembering something. Then he calls Andy. Now, Andy and Red are in front of Tommy. Tommy tells them, "For years ago, I went to a prison. There, I met a prisoner, and the prisoner told me that one night he went to rob a house. During the burglary, the owner woke up. Fearing getting caught, he killed the owner and his wife. Later, he learned that they were not husband and wife, but lovers, and that woman was the wife of a very prominent banker. Sometime later, when I read a newspaper report, I learned that when the police investigated these two murders, they suspected the banker had killed them. So, the banker was arrested for the murders of his wife and her lover. It's here that we learn that Andy was innocent. Upon learning this, Andy goes to the warden and tells him everything. But the warden deliberately disbelieves him because Andy is the one who launders his money and knows all his secrets. Therefore, if Andy leaves, the warden will not be able to earn any more money, and his secrets will likely be revealed. So, he tells Andy that it's a lie. I hear such stories every day. Andy promises the warden that even if he's freed, he'll keep his secret. But the warden doesn't listen to anything. Seeing this, Andy becomes very angry, saying, "I helped this man so much, but today, despite his innocence, he's not letting me out." So Andy yells at the warden. The warden then puts Andy in solitary confinement for a month. Then he goes straight to Tommy and asks him, "Is everything you told Andy true?" Tommy replies, "Yes, it's absolutely true." Then he asks Tommy, "If you're called to court, can you testify about this?" Tommy replies, "Yes, I'm ready." Hearing this, the warden signals to the guard upstairs. The warden then goes to Andy and tells him that Tommy was shot because he tried to escape. But Andy understands why Tommy was killed, and he thinks to himself, the warden is a very mean person. Andy tells the warden that from now on, he won't do his work. The warden then says, "You have to do my work, or I'll turn this prison into hell for you." As he leaves, the warden tells the security guard to keep him in the dungeon for another month. The dungeon was a terrifying place where prisoners had to spend a full month in pitch-black darkness. Andy had already spent a month in the dungeon, but now he would have to spend another month in the same dark, small room. News spreads throughout the prison that Andy is serving time for a crime he never committed. All the prisoners inside feel very sorry for Andy. After spending 2 months in the dungeon, Andy comes out and finds Red. Andy asks Red, "Will you ever get out of this prison?" Red says, "Yes, but only when I'm very old and my brain stops working." Andy says, "I'll get out of here and go to Mexico. There's a beautiful beach in Mexico. It's said that people lose themselves there. I'm going to open a restaurant there. I'm going to repair my boat there. And I'm going to need a hawker to bring me supplies." He was actually referring to Red. Hearing this, Red says, "Hope is a dangerous thing. It can even drive people crazy. You have to return to reality. Mexico is a long way from here." With that, Red starts to leave. But before leaving, Andy asks Red to promise that if he's ever released, he'll do one thing for him. Red says, "Yes, I will." Then Andy gives Red an address and tells him, "Whenever you get out of here, go to a place where there's a beautiful tree in the middle of a large field. It's the same tree under which I proposed to my wife. He tells Red that under that tree, in a wall, you'll find a black stone under which I've hidden a box. Whenever you're released, go there and look for that box under that stone to see what's inside. Andy leaves and goes straight to the warden. He completes the warden's work and puts all his documents in a special safe. After storing the documents, the warden gives Andy his clothes. He tells Andy to iron his clothes and polish his shoes to a mirror finish. Andy then returns to his cell. Meanwhile, Red is very worried that night, fearing that Andy might kill himself. The night passes and morning comes. As soon as morning arrives, all the prisoners' cell doors open and everyone comes out. But Andy doesn't come out. This was the first time in 20 years that a prisoner hadn't left their cell in the morning. Red then turns his attention to Andy's cell, and his worry grows, wondering if Andy has killed himself. A guard, furious, rushes to Andy's cell, but upon arriving, his eyes widen. He sees that no one was inside, and Andy has escaped. We then see the warden taking out his shoes to put on, but the box contains not his own, but Andy's old shoes. Just then, a siren sounds throughout the prison, signaling an escape. The warden quickly goes to Andy's cell and finds that Andy is missing. He then tells the security guard to go and get Red, as he was always with Andy. Red is also called. The warden asks Red where Andy is. Red says, "I don't know." This angers the warden. He asks, was he some ghost who disappeared overnight? In a rage, the warden picks up stones lying around and starts hitting the guards and Red with them. He even throws one at a poster pinned to the wall. But the stone doesn't hit the ground. Instead, it goes through the poster. When the warden reaches inside, he finds Andy had dug a massive tunnel, surprising everyone because the wall is incredibly strong. Without a machine, tunneling through this wall was nearly impossible. But Andy accomplished the impossible and escaped. All the guards then go to the place where Andy escaped. There, they find Andy's old clothes and the hammer that Andy had borrowed from Red 20 years ago. This is the same hammer that Andy had been using to tunnel through his cell wall for the past 20 years. For 20 years, Andy had done this so meticulously that no one even noticed. Furthermore, he would keep any dirt that came out of the wall in his pocket and scatter it on the ground. The last time Andy worked for the warden, he kept all the warden's illegal money documents. He cleverly placed the warden's Bible in his safe, pretending it was his documents. He also took the warden's clothes, which he had given him to iron. Andy first put on the warden's clothes, then put on his old clothes over them, and put on the shoes the warden had given him to polish to a mirror finish. At night, as soon as all the lights went out, Andy escaped through a tunnel he had dug in his cell. He then broke a sewer pipe and crawled through the narrowest sewer pipe, escaping from the prison he had ever escaped from. However, the sewer pipe through which Andy crawled was approximately 2 kilometers long. The next morning, Andy goes to the bank where all of the warden's black money is kept. This money is in the name of a man who doesn't exist. Andy himself orchestrated this entire document manipulation, and the signature of the account owner was forged by him from prison. Therefore, Andy has no difficulty withdrawing all of the warden's money. He has all the documents in that man's name. So, Andy goes to the bank and withdraws all of the money, totaling $370,000. This means that Andy is not only freed, but also rich. Here, we learn that Andy has been planning this from the day he entered the prison. The warden treated Andy very badly in prison and even killed Tommy. Therefore, he gives the evidence of the warden's black money to the media. The next morning, the news is published in the newspaper, and when the warden opens the safe, he finds not his documents, but a Bible. On the first page of the Bible, Andy has written, "You were right. Salvation lies within this." When the warden turns the page, he sees a hammer mark. In fact, Andy had cut out Bible pages to create a mold, inside which he used to hide his hammer. 20 years ago, when the warden first visited Andy's cell and took his Bible from his hand and returned it to him, the hammer was still inside. This shocks the warden. Meanwhile, news of the warden's illegal money has spread throughout the city. So, outside the prison, reporters and police are coming to arrest the warden, and before the police can arrest him, the warden shoots himself. After some time, Andy's friend Red's sentence is also pardoned, and he is given a job by the government. But Red doesn't feel at all comfortable in the outside world. Having spent 40 years of his life in prison, Red lives in the same room where Brooks used to live, and Red also wants to take his own life. But then he remembers the promise he made to Andy. He then drives to a large meadow where there is a huge tree and a stone wall. On that wall is a black stone, and when he lifts the stone, there is a box underneath. Inside the box is some money and a letter. This letter is from Andy. The letter says that Andy is waiting for Red at the same place Andy told Red about in prison. Next to it, Andy writes that hope is a good thing. Red then arrives at the scene, and when he goes to the beach, he sees Andy sitting in a boat, repairing his own. This scene and everything else is a retelling of Andy's dream, which he shared with Red in prison, in which Red remarked that hope is not good. The two then embrace, and the story ends with this. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel and like the video.